What's up, y'all? So we got the 291 breakdowns, UFC 291 breakdowns, and we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna start off with Priscilla Cachoeira versus Miranda Maverick. Now, Priscilla Cachoeira is a dog. Okay, she is a dog. She got that dog in her, and that's been proven 100%. I mean, she came into the UFC, got mollywopped by Valentina Shevchenko, and it was looking bad for her. You know, it was looking bad for her in her career, but she came back, started making some wins, getting some wins against some okay competition here, and she's been proven to have that dog in her. Things that she has that could be problems, you know, for Miranda Maverick is her size. She's just big. Miranda Maverick just lost versus a girl that was way too big for her. You know what I'm saying? Like Jasmine Jasdavidius, she didn't have success on her takedowns because of the fact that that girl was just long. She was 5'7". That's the same height as Priscilla, I keep saying Priscilla Cachoeira. And that might be an issue for her. You know, that might be an issue. Also, Priscilla also has great combos. She will drop a combo on you out of nowhere. You think it's sweet, and she coming with like wild man Mark Merrow hands on you. She out here hitting you with a four-piece out of nowhere. And then they're sometimes straight, but they're also wild ones. I mean, she has a great overhand 3 combo that she lands on a lot of opponents. Those are some things that Miranda Maverick may need to worry about. Miranda Maverick does have solid footwork. She can, you know, she uses her footwork to get out the way. So, you know, some of that may be, you know, stopped just because of her good footwork, being able to get out the way. Some things from Miranda Maverick that Priscilla has to worry about is Miranda Maverick has this little hopping. She does like almost like a hopping into it, almost like a Tim Elliott. He has this 1 foot hop so he can get into distance, and then she'll drop a 2 on you. Like she'll just hit you with a straight, and then, you know, drop off some combos off of that. So you know, I think those are things that, you know, she needs to worry about. I think as well, Priscilla Cachoeira, she always defends the single leg really good early, but that double leg gets her almost every time, if not every time, especially in the last 3 fights. Them single legs have been good for her, but the double legs get her in trouble. And Miranda Maverick has a good double leg. She has a real good double leg that could really cause her issues, you know. And if she gets her to the ground, Miranda Maverick's just going to control her, most likely on the ground. Another thing is Priscilla Cachoeira has been beat by rear naked choke, if I'm not mistaken. And Miranda Maverick has 5 wins by rear naked choke. That's something to really pay attention to. She has one of those in the UFC. So the rear naked choke is something that she's very good at. It's something that she's very good in that area. She's very good, and she's very you know, efficient in that area. So that's another thing that could give her issues. I think overall the strength might be similar. I think, you know, obviously Priscilla Cachoeira is a bigger girl than Miranda Maverick, but Miranda Maverick has that good strength on her. So I think that it can be, you know, somewhat nullified. They both can nullify each other's strengths in that area. But, you know, Miranda Maverick does have good timing on those double leg takedowns. My pick is Miranda Maverick. I think overall, you know, she needs to worry about those wild shots that Priscilla drops on them, the combos. But if she can stop those wild shots and not get caught with something and get knocked out, you know, because Miranda Maverick doesn't get knocked out. She's very tough. She's gotten beat up, but she's never gotten knocked out. She's tough. So I'm not expecting her to get knocked out. I think this is gonna go to decision unless Miranda Maverick finishes her with a submission. I think Priscilla Cachoeira has more dog, so she might be able to make it to decision. But I think it'll be a solid fight. But I'm going Miranda Maverick. Now we got Uros Medic versus Matthew Semmelberger. Now for this fight, this one is to me speed versus power. Now we also have to look at Uros Medic is fighting up in a weight division. He usually fights at lightweight. He's going to be fighting at welterweight. He's had some fights in welterweight in his earlier career before the UFC, so it's not foreign to him. He's also been able to use his great power to get finishes at welterweight as well. But there was competition outside of the UFC, so we also have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. We don't know if that's going to translate to the UFC. He has immaculate power at lightweight. We're going to see what that power is translated as in welterweight in the UFC versus UFC talent. Matthew Semmelberger is a guy that is not about great combos. He's a guy that's usually typically about power. That's what we see in history. Now, hopefully he's been working on his skills and putting together more combos. But in history, what we see is Uros Medic is a guy that throws quick combos. And Matthew Semmelberger is a guy that if he lands on you, good luck. So, with that being the case, who's going to win this fight? To me, I lean more to Matthew Semmelberger because of the fact that he's just a natural welterweight and he's knocking welterweights down on the daily basis. Every single time he has a fight, I think in his last 3 fights, he's knocked down his opponent 6 times. He's knocked down Jake Matthews 3 times. Every single round, he knocked down Jake Matthews. He knocked down Jeremiah Wells, a tough guy, a very tough guy. I don't think he's ever even been knocked down before that fight. He got knocked down twice, okay? And then a competitor that he faced, I can't think of his name off the top of the head, but 3 matches ago, he knocked him down once. And so he has great power, the power to stop a fight in an instance. The thing that I would like to see from Matthew Semmelberger is, with all that power, he doesn't get a lot of finishes. His last 3 fights, he didn't get finishes. He's had the power, but he's not finishing the fights. Uros Medic is finishing those fights. Now, that's at lightweight. So, again, we have to look at that and take that with a grain of salt. We'll see if that power will translate. I just personally think with the power that he has, I've seen Uros Medic get melted by Jalen Turner. And I know Matthew Semmelberger is not Jalen Turner, but he has more power than Jalen Turner. And if Uros Medic got melted and really he got hit to the point where he gave up, and it wasn't like he got put out cold. He got hit to the body and he gave up. Now, Matthew Semmelberger doesn't hit to the body as much as he could, but that power, man, just the power. If you're getting a knockdown, 6 knockdowns in your last 3 fights, I mean, that means you're averaging out at 2 knockdowns per fight. You do that a round each, you got 2 rounds pretty much based off of that. Output Uros Medic is definitely higher because, like I said, he's quicker, he has better combos. I want to see how his cardio is going to be in this weight class with the extra weight on his body. I want to see how that power is going to translate. So this fight could go Uros Medic's way, but for me, in my pick, I'm going Matthew Semmelberger. I'm trusting in the semi's power to get the job done. It could be a win and decision. I could see that, but I could also see Semmelberger finishing him with a shot and finally getting that finish. Next up, we got Claudio Ribeiro Ribeiro, however you say it, versus Roman Kopylov. Now, for this fight, when I look at their cardio system, I see Claudio getting tired after 1 round. That's typical for him, especially in his last couple of fights. He's been getting tired off of one round, and he's in the corner breathing extremely hard. And for Roman Kopylov, his cardio is just a slight better, as I seen him breathing pretty hard after 2 rounds. So I don't see this fight going to decision. I see this being a fight that's getting finished. Their cardios are not the greatest. I see the pace that Roman puts on is a great pace, but it's hard for him to sustain it. Now, he does sustain that power in the 3rd round. He has the power to knock you out in the 3rd round as well, because he controls it. He has good burst. You know, in the later rounds. For some reason, he breathes really hard, but he has the power to hit you with that good combo. He carries that good speed. For me, this is a fight where I'm looking at 2 things for Claudio. He has great power, first of all. This is another power versus speed match, right? He has great power, and I could see him landing a check hook that could possibly change Roman's night. But also, his leg kicks are devastating. When I see him leg kick people, I mean, he's loading up on those things. He's trying to take your leg out the game. So those are things for Roman to worry about. Roman has solid footwork, the footwork to evade. He's not usually moving a whole bunch unnecessarily. He's using his footwork more so to evade the shots, which, you know, could be a good conservation of energy, considering that he usually gets tired at the end of the 2nd round. For Roman, I think he just has a great speed advantage. You know, while Claudio is going to throw wild and loopy shots, Roman is straight down to the middle. He's from here to there, just like that. So I think that's going to, you know, be an issue for Claudio, because that man will hit you with a 1-2-1 before you even know what's happening. And that's just a fact. Roman is incredibly fast. He has knockout power, just like Claudio has knockout power. So I do not see this fight going to decision. I see this fight ending by decision, by knockout. I also see another issue that you know, Claudio has to worry about is just that Roman is a well-rounded striker. He's not just hitting you to the head. He'll hit you to the head. He'll hit you to the body. He'll hit you to the legs. He can work you in the clinch as well. Like, he's a well-rounded striker. Very good power. He's tough. I trust his chin more than I trust Claudio's. I trust his body more than I trust Claudio's. When I looked at him at the face-off, I was expecting Claudio to be in a little bit better shape than he looked on the scale. He looked a little bit soft-bodied, whereas Roman was tight. He had a tight core, tight body. I think he's going to be in this fight. His cardio is going to be greater than Claudio's, and I'm just expecting him to be able to outwork Claudio. He's going to put out higher output. Every one shot that, you know, Claudio lands, Roman's going to land 2 or 3. And I just think that when the fight gets to the 2nd round, if it gets to the 2nd round, that's where you'll start to really see Roman just absolutely take over. Claudio is going to be very dangerous early, but in a second, if Roman can get to that 2nd round, it's going to be over. He's going to take over. He's going to do what he does, land his quick stuff, and really put a beating on Claudio, in my opinion. So yes, I am going Roman Kopylov. Marcos Rogerio de Lima versus Derek Lewis. This fight is a very interesting fight for me because Marcos has more ways to get the job done than Derek Lewis, right? Cardio wise, who do you trust more? You might trust Marcos more. You know, when you look at wrestling, who do you trust more? You trust Marcos more when it comes to who's gonna do more damage to the body. Marcos. When you use who's gonna do more damage to the legs, Marcos. You know, but for me as well, you got to look at that equalizer. Derek's power is the equalizer. I mean, Marcos will land about 11 shots to the head per round, and Derek Lewis land about 12 on average per round. But those 12 from Derek are different, right? Marcos ain't never faced nobody with that power. He's never faced anybody close to the power that Derek Lewis carries, because Derek Lewis has some of the greatest power that the UFC has ever seen. He has the most knockouts in heavyweight, and I think still in the UFC. If not, he might have got just past about one. But in the UFC ever history, we talking about from 1993 to 2023. We on our 30th year and nobody has touched him in that record. So I understand that he's been on a losing streak. I understand that in the last 3 pay-per-views he's 0-3, but those last 3 pay-per-views were in Houston. Were in Texas. 2 of them was in Houston and 1 of them was in Texas. The only other loss that Derek Lewis has on pay-per-view was against Daniel Cormier, and nobody could convince me that they truly thought that Derek Lewis was going to beat Daniel Cormier. That wasn't going to happen. The only shot was a knockout chance, but Daniel Cormier is smart enough to know how to avoid a shot like that. Is Marcos Daniel Cormier? No, he's not. Also, his last fight, if you guys saw in the interview, Derek Lewis said that in his last couple of fights, he's been doing this thing where he waits till the last 3 days to cut 25 pounds of fat. And it was working for him in his earlier career, but his last fight, like, he almost passed out and he was getting held up. And the only reason he didn't leave the fight is because he just caught out of a fight last time because of it. So he literally fought and he threw 3 punches versus Sergey Spivak. That is not Derek Lewis. And I'm trusting and believing that the real Derek Lewis will stand up. I'm trusting and believing that 6-pack Derek Lewis is going to be a problem for Marcos. I do not have a lot of things to tell me that Derek Lewis is going to win this fight. But my intuition is telling me Derek Lewis is going to win by knockout. Now, Marcos has an ability to wrestle that can give him issues. Marcos has quicker hands for a heavyweight, and he will throw in combinations. And we see when Derek Lewis gets overwhelmed with combinations, he does this little ducking thing, and he'll get hit with stuff that, you know, he's not supposed to get hit with, but it's because he kind of moves out the way in a weird way and just blocks and shows up. Will the ref give him the time that is needed? Because in that Sergey Pavlovich fight, he didn't get the time that was needed to get that response. So this could very well go Marcos's way. But guys, I'm picking Derek Lewis by knockout. Next up, we got Bobby Green versus Tony Ferguson, man. Let's go. That's going to be a fight. That is going to be a fight, and that's going to be a fight well worth watching. Now, this fight is a very tough fight for me to pick. Tony Ferguson has only lost against typically the better competition. He lost versus Justin Gaethje. He lost versus Beneil Dariush. He lost versus Charles Oliveira. But then he lost versus Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is a good fighter, but that's a drop off from competition to me. I don't think Michael Chandler is on the level of the 3 that I just named. It's not a huge drop off, but it is a drop off. And then he lost versus Nate Diaz. And that's a good drop off from that point. Nate Diaz was on his way out. You know, Nate Diaz be playing around. Nate Diaz is one of the BMFs, no doubt. But he be playing around in those fights. And Tony Ferguson had a lot of opportunities to get that job done there. And he couldn't. He couldn't do it. Old Tony Ferguson would have been able to possibly get that finish. This Tony Ferguson, he moved completely erratically. I mean, he always moves erratically, but he moved very... I just didn't like it. I didn't like the way he was moving. I don't like the way that he was over punching. And I know he was trying to overpunch kind of somewhat so that he can land that spinning elbow on him. Kept trying to bait that elbow in there. But his movements were it was just not good. Not typical to Tony Ferguson. I know he's saying he's back and that he's feeling good, and I hope he does, because I've been concerned about Tony Ferguson ever since that Justin Gaethje fight. I think Justin Gaethje he stole that man's soul that night. And then that kick from Michael Chandler was just, it was devastating. It was one of the worst knockouts I've probably ever seen. But then, like I said, he came back. He looked solid against Nate Diaz. But Nate Diaz doesn't pack the same like intensity that typical fighters pack. You know what I'm saying? Nate Diaz is not the striker that Bobby Green is. He's not. He's just not. Bobby Green is fast, man. That man is fast as crap. Like, I mean, you can miss a shot if you blink. That guy is quick as all can be, and I think that could be an issue for Tony Ferguson. He has good footwork, good movement, good head movement. It's going to be hard to hit him. But Bobby Green has this terrible habit, and it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because it helps him with his speed. But it also hurts him because your hands are so low. He just got cleared by Drew Dober. Just 2 fights ago, he got cleared by Drew Dober. And Drew Dober was kicking the crap out of his legs. And if we remember, Tony Ferguson was destroying Nate Diaz's legs. I think that's something that we have to pay attention to. Tony Ferguson's leg kicks, his foot was a bath of blood, and he did not care one bit. Tony Ferguson's the type of guy that whole foot can be bloody, and he's still going to kick you with that leg. Yes, I did say Tony Ferguson's that type of guy. And I think another thing that we're not looking at is that reach advantage. He has a 5-inch reach advantage. Bobby Green doesn't fight a lot of guys with that advantage. He's fought 2 guys with that advantage. One guy whose significant strikes per minute is like 1.82, and he won that fight. And the other guy with a 74-inch reach was Edson Barbosa, and Edson Barbosa beat him. Now, nobody has had a 76-inch reach. A 76-inch reach like Tony Ferguson. Bobby Green has never faced anybody in the UFC with that reach. So that's something to look at, guys. Tony Ferguson has a good one too. He has good straight shots. He put Chandler down with that straight shot. So I know a lot of people are going Bobby Green on this one. And technically, I'm going to go Bobby Green on this one. But guys, I'm telling you right now, absolutely do not be surprised if Tony Ferguson beats Bobby Green. I can see him kicking Bobby Green's legs off to stop a little bit of the movement. And I can see him landing those straight shots on Bobby Green because he has the ability with that length. What he lacks in speed, he will have in length, guys. So it will be speed versus length here. Will Bobby Green be able to get in and out, land his shots like he typically does, and do it without too much harm? Or will Tony Ferguson be able to neutralize his movement with those leg kicks that he showed against Nate Diaz? That when I watch a lot of people don't talk about that. They don't talk about the fact that, yeah, Tony Ferguson didn't look great versus Nate Diaz, but they don't talk about what he did positive against Nate Diaz. And he was destroying those legs. And if Drew Dober can get to them legs, Drew Dober's 5'8". Tony Ferguson's 5'11". That's length advantage. 3 inches of length. And you know that's length on the legs as well. So I think length is going to be a big advantage for Tony Ferguson in this fight. And experience. He's been there, done that against the top of the top. Bobby Green has experience. I mean, he fought Islam. You know what I'm saying? He's been in there with the champion of the world. Tony Ferguson hasn't. He didn't get to fight Khabib. He didn't get to fight Islam. And when he fought Charles Oliveira, he got mollywopped. Now, I'm not saying that Bobby Green won in any form. Obviously, he got finished by Islam, but this is going to be a good one. So, I'm going on the Bobby Green. I think Bobby Green is going to get the job done. But guys, do not be surprised. Do not be surprised if Tony Ferguson gets this job done. Alex Pereira versus Jan Blachowicz. Whoo-wee, this is going to be a fight, guys. This is gonna be a fight. This card is loaded. The only thing about this card that kills me is that Stephen Thompson and Michelle Pereira fight got canceled. Man, I swear there's like 6 fights on here that could be fighted tonight, and it's absolutely crazy. But Alex Pereira versus Jan Blachowicz, guys, this is gonna be a tough one, man. This is gonna be a tough one. If you look at striking, that is definitely Alex Pereira's. And Jan Blachowicz is a striker. And Alex Pereira is a better striker. Not only that, Alex Pereira has gone against better strikers than Blachowicz. Who? Israel Adesanya. And I think it's safe to say that Sean Strickland might be a better striker than even Jan Blachowicz. And I don't think that's too crazy to say. And he got knocked out. So I don't think Blachowicz is the striker that those guys are. The one advantage I do give Blachowicz is his wrestling ability. But the issue is, in his last 3 fights, Blachowicz has gone for absolutely 0 takedowns. 0. He was credited with 0 attempts in his last 3 fights. Will he adopt the Israel Adesanya approach? Will he try to bring the wrestling back? If he was smart, I think he would. But that legendary Polish power. Yeah, hey, the legendary Polish power. Who knows, man? He might bust out that legendary Polish power and believe in it a lot. Maybe too much at his detriment. He has the power to knock out Pereira. Pereira just got knocked out by Izzy. You know what I'm saying? Izzy don't got the power that Jan does. He don't. So if you got knocked out by Izzy, you can't get knocked out by Blachowicz. But I also like us to realize that it took Izzy 4 times to be able to knock out Alex Pereira. He faced him 4 times. Jan won't have that. He won't have the advantage of getting to know his fighting style by fighting him 3 prior times. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that we have to look at as well. When I saw them stand next to each other, I was shocked at how big Pereira is compared to Jan. It is not like that man is towering over Jan, and he's wider than Jan. I thought Jan would be wider than Pereira. No, not at all. Pereira is bigger than him in almost every way. That is going to be huge. Jan has been knocked out by an explosive striker before in Thiago Santos, and Thiago Santos had that touch of death for the longest time. Well, guess who has that touch of death now? Alex Pereira. And if he hits him with that hook, man, it can be night-night. I'm predicting it's going to be night-night for Jan Blachowicz. I think Alex Pereira is going to put him out. I do. Overall, I personally think that Alex Pereira is going to get the job done. Jan can finish this fight, man. He can. He can knock him out, and he can get him to the ground and maybe beat him down or submit him or something like that. But will he use that? It's like a Justin Gaethje. It's like a Michael Chandler. They have wrestling ability, but will they use it? And that's something that we need to see. For his sake, I hope he does. But for this pick, I'm going Alex Pereira. I just think in striking, he's a better striker to the legs. I know Jan is a savage. He was going shin on shin in his last fight. So, you know, who knows if he's going to be able to hurt him to the legs. But at the same time, Alex Pereira's power is different, man. It's just different. Them leg kicks included. Leg kicks, body kicks, clinch work, shots to the head. Those all are advantages for Alex Pereira. Now, Alex Pereira is there to get hit at times. But is Jan gonna... Jan isn't Izzy, man. He's not. He's not Sean Strickland to me. But I will say his equalizer is his power. The legendary Polish power. And we will see who wins. The legendary Polish power or the legendary Brazilian power. I'm betting on the Brazilian power. Let's see. Main event time, guys. We got Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. Man, oh man. What a main event for the BMF Championship of the World. I know I've been seeing it a lot. A lot of guys are going Dustin Poirier here. A lot of guys are saying, hey, Dustin Poirier beat him before. Dustin Poirier has the best boxing in the UFC. He's going to do it again. He's only even more polished. And that's true. He is more polished. But so is Justin Gaethje. I think Justin Gaethje was a wild man when they first fought. Justin Gaethje has been working with Trevor Whitman for a long time now, guys. Trevor Whitman has been turning this man into a striking genius. And he has done the impossible. He has tamed a wild man. He has allowed Justin Gaethje to open his skills even further, because instead of just going wild and crazy with his awesome power, he is now able to control himself and to throw it in a controlled fashion. I say the fight where we saw it the most in the beginning of it was Tony Ferguson fight. And I know earlier in this video you heard me say that he stole Tony Ferguson's soul. And I think that's the fight where it all changed for Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje became that certified, calculated killer instead of just a certified killer. Dustin Poirier's boxing is absolutely immaculate. Top class. Amazing. He has better grappling because he uses his grappling. He has better submissions because he uses it. But don't get it twisted. Justin Gaethje has that. He just doesn't use it. Now, do we see Dustin Poirier trying to take him down? I can see it. He get pieced up a little bit too much. Hey, what happens when you get pieced up? You wanna start turning into a wrestler. And if he is in trouble, I can see him trying to grapple a little bit. The thing is, will he be able to take Justin Gaethje down? I don't know if he will. Not if he's doing it in a panic wrestling type of situation. Only if wild man Justin Gaethje is there. But if calculated Justin Gaethje is there, that might be an issue. They both have good power. I trust Justin Gaethje's power way more. And I know we always talk about how Dustin Poirier's boxing is so much better. But let's look at output, guys. When it comes to the last 3 fights, per minute, Justin Gaethje has landed more leg kicks. He's been nastier in the clinch. He's been nastier to the body. He's been nastier to the head. He's a better striker from distance and from in close. The only striking advantage that Dustin Poirier has over Justin Gaethje in output is the groundwork. And let's look at power, guys. Again, if you're landing more and you have greater power, that's something we need to look at and seriously look at. This is not Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier 1. This is number 2. These are 2 different grown men. And I understand that Dustin Poirier is 3-0 in rematches. But this ain't the same type of guy. This ain't the same type of guy. This isn't the Conor McGregor that was preparing for a boxing match that he knocked out. This ain't that guy that he decided to leg kick the crap out of Conor McGregor because Conor McGregor was not prepared for that. This ain't that guy. This is a guy that can go leg kick for leg kick, and I guarantee you his will do more damage. Look at the first fight. Look at how his legs were looking after the first fight with Justin Gaethje. Dustin Poirier is a dog. He got that dog in him. Certified dog in him. If you look inside of him, you're going to see a picture of a Doberman. Because he is a dog. That's a full fact. But guess what? You're going against another dog in Justin Gaethje. You look inside of Justin Gaethje and you're going to see a pit bull, Doberman, whatever dog you want to see. Because he is that. So when you've got two dogs going against each other, you look at skill. Who has more skill? I think that in the first fight, Dustin just had more skill. He was more poised, more calculated. But I think the time with Trevor Whitman, who I truly think is top tier coach, if not the best coach in the UFC, I think I'm going with Justin Gaethje, man. I'm going with Justin Gaethje. I think Justin Gaethje is better. I think he's better. I think he hits harder. I think his output is greater. And if Dustin Poirier does not utilize wrestling to a high advantage for him, which I do not see, because this is a BMF fight, not for the title. This is for the baddest MFer. Okay? Who is that guy? They're gonna be slinging and banging. There's gonna be some furniture moving in that ring. And I'm telling you right now, I'm trusting that Justin Gaethje can get the job done. Now, can Justin Gaethje get rocked with a shot? Absolutely. He still can get rocked. He still can get rocked. That's a full-on fact. Charles Oliveira put him down. Okay? Charles Oliveira put him down. Charles Oliveira did not put down Dustin Poirier. So, we need to look at that. We need to see, will his chin last versus Dustin Poirier? That's the one thing that gives me a little cause to pause. But other than that, in the wrestling, I trust Justin Gaethje to get his revenge and to be the BMF champion. And Masvidal might have to put that belt on a man that he don't want to put that belt on. That's what I'm predicting. Enjoy the fights.